Namaskar, all of you. Welcome to this new session. We have commenced a topic from last session. We are trying to understand human embodiment. Uh, Human embodiment is studied by anatomy, physiology, psychology. That's one dimension of it. And we think that is all what a human being is. If anatomy, physiology describes the human body, we think that is what the human body is. And if psychology describes human mind, we think that is all what the human mind is. But this is far from being true. So, therefore, we are trying to make a pursuit here to understand the human embodiment. The very gross body that we are able to sight, that we have and that we can experience and that we can know, perhaps we can understand to whatever extent, that itself is a marvel, and we were seeing certain facts about that as to how human body is really a marvel factually. We were seeing certain facts about the body. Then there are few more which need to be mentioned. Uh, Say, for instance, a life is to be born, human being is to be born. We know there is that intercourse between man and woman. Now, during that time, the sperm cells of man ejects some 5 million potential lives. And that Rethus, the semen, has to be in a running race which spans about 24 feet and 7 inches. And the contestants are 5 million, nearly 5 million contestants in the sperm cells. And the fact is that some thousands only complete the race. Out of 50 million, or it should be, about 50 million, 5 million rather, 50 lakh sperm cells are in the race. And just thousands complete the race. Others fall before reaching the end point, which is at 24 feet and about 7 inches. But the race is only won by only one cell there, sperm cell. So, understand the amount of cells which are contesting. 50 lakhs, 5 million, thousands complete the race, but only one wins the race, and therefore one life is born. Rest, all those potential lives are almost wasted. Otherwise, during that ejection, nearly 50 lakh potential lives are ejected in that act. Now, try to understand what this life is. The dimension of this life, when it contains about 50 lakh potential lives in that intercourse, and only one wins the race. Then, about the brain, it's a marvel. There are 10,000 million neurons in the brain, and each of the neuron is connected with each other neuron by 500,000 connections. So it is said that, earlier times, today we have electronic exchanges of telephone, but previously it was something like crossbar technology. So all the telephone exchanges put together in the world do not have as many connections just one brain has in its neurons. So 10,000 million neurons connecting each one with the other by 500,000 connections. So therefore, there is no case of line is busy, because there are so many connections for one cell with every other neuron, one neuron with every other neuron. See the enormity, the structuring of the brain. So there are so many marvels in our embodiment. So this is to be thought over, that there are thousands of trillions of cells in our human body. And the brain is a marvel, heart is a marvel, lung is a marvel, liver, stomach, colon, bladder, spleen, pancreas, intestines, duodenum, kidneys. Every organ is a marvel. So this information can be sought by modern man and just try to appreciate the marvel of this gross body. It's really mind-boggling. Then if the gross aspects of body, the organs, grosser organs which are identified in anatomy, if they are, each one of them is a marvel, try to understand when there is something called as Sukshma Sharira, astral body, or also called as electronic body, can be rather called electronic body. It must be a greater marvel, and it is indeed a greater marvel. See the human body, autonomous nervous system, some of the organs are incessantly working for lifetime. Whatever is the span of the life, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 100 plus years, they don't have respite of even a moment. For instance, heart. It doesn't take respite for even a moment. Incessantly working. Lungs are incessantly working. Organs don't have, some of the organs really don't have rest at all. Yet they work for so many years. Marvel about the digestive system. See, a man-made machine runs on particular fuel. Something will run on electricity, something will run on various kinds of fuels. You can't be changing the fuels. A petrol-run car cannot be running on diesel, or diesel-run vehicle cannot run on petrol. So you'll have to give the same fuel to it, and it works with that. And then understand the wear and tear and replacement, etc., which is there in man-made machine. So it takes only one kind of energy or fuel. You can't be giving various kinds of fuel to one machine. But look at the human machine or biological machine God created. Bodies, if you consider them as machines, at least the subhumans live on certain foods. Like you can get a package, what can be called as dog's food, or the cattle's food, the fodder. But there is no such package for human food. See the variety of food man takes. It is really astonishing that the digestive system digests various kinds of things, various kinds of foods eaten. And yet it runs for 70, 80, 90, 100 plus years. Is that not a marvel? For car, you will only give petrol. If it's a diesel car, you will only give diesel. If it is something electrical, you will only give electricity supply. But see the human energy forms. It comes in variegated forms. Bizarre selections are there by the human tongue. And it runs on all that. So it has to work differently. Like diesel engine is different than petrol engine. But that is not the case of our system. The rice engine and wheat engines are not different. Same engine takes rice, same engine takes wheat, same engine takes anything pulses, any kind of grain, any kind of non-vegetarian stuff or any kind of vegetarian stuff, and energies are turned out. So it's a marvel. If car runs on petrol, it's not a marvel. But our system runs on so many variegated kinds of fuels, and it still runs for 80, 90, 100 plus years. So there are many marvelous things in the embodiment, the very gross body. And then with regards to mind, similarly there is enormous marvel. We hear these days about psychic powers. We hear about body powers. People perform physical feats, corporeal bodily feats, and we just are astonished by what those people are doing with their bodies. So we know that there is kind of marvel in the functions of our body. Similarly, there are marvels in the functions of the mind. And incidentally, let me tell you, we have something called as physical culture. By physical culture, we try to develop various powers and prowesses of the body, and various skills of the body are developed. Various feats can be performed by going to some physical culture endeavor. Similarly, there is something called as mind culture endeavor, that we go to various academies. Some people excel in, say, various fields of professions. Lawyers excel in one realm, scientists excel in another realm, philosophers excel in another realm, psychologists excel in another realm. So there are so many sciences. The erudites have the pursuits there. And then we can see the marvel of human mind, how it can excel, how it can perform feats. And therefore, various academies are like in physical, we have physical culture setups. Various kinds of setups are there for physical culture. Oriental kind of exercises, Occidental kind of exercises, ancient kinds of exercises, modern kinds of exercises. So, physical culture, there is an enormous spectrum for physical culture to develop various powers, various kinds of powers in the body. So also, these academies are mind culturing endeavors. And therefore, we think of body culturing, mind culturing, body culture setups, mind culture setups. For mind culture, we have schools and universities and various academies where you can be learning so many things uh, for human mind, from various forms of arts to various disciplines of sciences, various professions, etc. But the seeker of yoga should wonder that there is no breath culture consideration. There is body culture consideration, there is mind culture consideration, and we have created setups for all this to be facilitating the physical and mental culture. But nowhere so far, no one ever so far has thought about breath culture. And yoga specializes there. Anyway, that came incidentally, that's why I'm telling you. So there is something, the breath culture aspect, like physical culture, setups, infrastructure for physical culture, various institutions for physical culture, various trainers for physical culture, so also for mental culture, academies, etc., universities, etc. Nowhere breath culture. Yoga does that. Anyway, that was an incidental point which came up. The point is that the gross body itself is having such enormous marvel. But then, Adhyatma speaks about three bodies. Modern sciences speak about only one body, the corporeal body. That is Sthula Sharira in Adhyatma. Then there is Sukshma Sharira in Adhyatma. There is Karana Sharira in Adhyatma. So gross body, subtle body, causal body. Three bodies are counted by spiritual sciences. Now, as just now we were saying that each organ of our body, of various systems, digestive organ, the reproductive organ, the circulatory system, the respiratory system, various systems are there, glandular system, endocrine system. So we count those various systems in anatomy and physiology. And Adhyatma, don't call them organs. They are not organs of body as is the expression in English. As is the expression in English, we say organs. Respiratory organ, digestive organ, reproductive organ, endocrine organ. So we have organs in English. But in vernacular, in Sanskrit, in English, they are called Indriyas. Indriya. Indra is king of gods. And everything is under celestial force. So actually, the presiding deity behind all organs, those countless organs of various systems, there is a presiding deity which is postulated by Adhyatma. Anatomy doesn't postulate that. They have very physical view of the organs of body. And therefore they say these are organs of body. These are organs of mind. Whereas we have this notion of Indriyas. Indra means king of all gods. And the king of all gods means there are many gods under him. Semi-deities, demi-deities. There are so many deities. Precisely, there are 330 million deities. The Vedic pantheon speaks about 330 deities, 33 crore. They are of the class of Vasu, Rudra, Aditya. These are major classes, Vasu, Rudra, Aditya. And then there are Marudaganas and various other demigods as well. So, all our organs are presided over, or there is a presiding deity for each organ because it is of Indra. That's why it is called Indriya. Of Indra. Indriya means of Indra. Indra has huge team under him to manage all celestial management, carry out celestial management. So he has those 33 crores of deities under him, that is 330 million deities under him to help him in his management. So he has a middle management of 330 million. and they are all in our body. We speak about 5 cognitive organs, 5 conative organs, and the 4 internal organs of mind. So we know the 5 conative organs, karmendriyas: Vak, Pani, Pada, Payu, Upastha. Vak, Pani, Payu, Pada, Upastha. Vak, organ of speech. Pani, organ of give and take, the hands and arms. Pada, the locomotive organs, legs. Payu, the excretory organ of fecal matter. And Upastha, generative organ. So these are 5 conative organs. Indriyas, karmendriyas, again they are of all of Indriyas. Indra, they are all of Indra, that is king of all gods. Then there are 5 Jnanendriyas: Chakshu, Jihva, Ghrana, Tvak. So Tvak, Chakshu, Jihva, Ghrana, Shrotra. So Tvak means prehensory organ of sensation of touch. Chakshu, visual organ, the eyes. Olfactory organ, the Ghrana. Ghrana is the olfactory organ, organ of smell. Shrotra, auditory organ of hearing. So there are 5 cognitive organs. They are Indriyas. They are called Jnanendriyas. So again, they are of Indra. Then there are 4 internal organs of mind: Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankar. Manas is mind, Buddhi is intelligence, Chitta is an organ for higher acts of intelligence and mind, Chintana, and then Ahankar, identity organ, organ of I-ness. So there are 14 organs, 5 conative, 5 cognitive, 4 internal, 5 plus 5 plus 4. Chaturdasha Indriyas. So each one of them have presiding deity, such as presiding deity of the eyes is Aditya, the sun god. The presiding deity over ears is Dig Devata. That is, Dig means cardinal directions, the space. The Tvak, the presiding deity is Vayu. The Ghrana, the presiding deity Ashwini Kumar. The presiding deity of the organ of touch is Vayu. So there are various devatas: Agni Devata, Vayu Devata, Surya Devata, Chandra, the moon, is presiding deity of the mind. And each of the karmendriyas have presiding deities. Each of the Jnanendriyas have presiding deity. Each of the 4 mental indriyas, internal indriyas, have four celestial deities to preside over. You get this table in Subala Upanishad. Subala Upanishad mentions the deities behind all these senses and the conative, cognitive organs and mental organs. So see, we are almost subsumed by celestial forces. We think we are terrestrial beings. Yes, we are terrestrial beings. We live because we are inhabiting on the earth, and we have come from earth, therefore we are terrestrial beings. But we are constituted by celestial forces. This is the revelation of Adhyatma. As a matter of fact, everything on this planet is celestial. Now we say earth is terrestrial, but there can be an argument to say that how can you call it terrestrial? Because the sun was formulated how and when and from where? If the sun in the sky is celestial force, while the sun was formulated, at the same time the solar system was formulated. Therefore, like sun was formed, when sun was formed, earth was formed, and similarly it was formed. All the planets, planetary systems, the solar system were formed with the sun. If the sun is celestial, there is no logic in saying that earth is not celestial. And earth is of course celestial if you go on Mars, if you go on Jupiter, if you go on Venus. Earth is also celestial. So it is a relative concept that we say earth is terrestrial. There is nothing terrestrial about the earth. Earth itself is celestial. Anyway, that's a different subject matter. We will not go into it. The point is that we are inhabited by all the celestial forces. We are housing the celestial forces. So that is how the view of body is taken by Adhyatma. So then you understand, if something is celestial, we know it is a marvelous thing. Celestial power, celestial manifestation. It is definitely a marvel. So we are totally constituted by all that is marvelous and all that is a marvel. Our embodiment is really a marvel. So that's how the Adhyatma looks at his body. You look into Gray's Anatomy or any book on anatomy, you will have no clue to this. It will not tell you about anything about this. However, Adhyatma tells you about this body. Adi Daivik aspects. So Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik, Adhyatmic aspects are counted in this body. Adi Bhautik manifestation, Adi Daivik constitution, and Adhyatmic substrate. Adhyatmic substrate because there is that spiritual entity within us around which all this is woven, gross or subtle body. And there is of course divinity, Antaryami. So that is the substrate. On that substrate, this embodiment is structured. So this is how Adhyatma takes view of this body. So therefore there is that concept of Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharira. Unlike the case of anatomy and physiology, ultra modern, most modern, it just considers that this whole is gross. There might be a subtle, in the physical sense, something like a cell of the body is a very subtle thing, microscopic. But in that sense it is subtle, but not in the sense Adhyatma calls something as Sukshma Sharira. Adhyatma has a different idea of Sukshma Sharira. The Sukshma Sharira is eternal body. It transmigrates, it has been transmigrating. It has existence from time without beginning. So it has been transmigrating through 8.4 million life species. Umpteen number of times it has gone to every class of it. We have become say mice and ants and elephants and dogs and lions and cats and trees and plants and even gods. We have also become gods. They are also counted in 8.4 million life species because they are also life species. So we have become gods and now we have become mortals, mortal beings, human beings. We have been subhumans umpteen number of times, each kind of it. We have been donkeys and horses and cattle and elephants and whatnot, from bacteria to mosquitoes to flies. We have become everything. And we have potentials to become everything. We will become everything provided we don't embark upon spiritual paths and go sufficient distance in it. So the human embodiment is really a marvel. Like as I told you yesterday, when the life principle enters, that becomes a marvel, a creature like say ant. In the last session we were discussing about the ant. For ant, human being is a giant, but for human being, ant is a giant, because ant can carry 300 times its weight something in its mouth and climb a vertical tree, trunk of a vertical tree. So for us, it is something like a giant. So why the marvel in such a tiny creature like ant? It is because spiritual principle is embedded in it. So once the spiritual principle enters, see the marvel. Ant is a marvel, butterfly is a marvel, sparrow is a marvel, eagle is a marvel. Take any creature, any bird, animal, it's a marvel actually. Lion, tiger, elephant, any animal, cheetah, it excels in its speed to run. So they have some excellence, and this excellence is because that particular aspect has entered in it. So that's the marvel. It's a metaphysical principle which is not cited by anatomy physiology. Anatomy will never tell you where the life force is, which Upanishads describe. Its dimension they describe as, end of the hair. Take it and then make 100 parts of it. Take one part of it and again make 100 parts of it. So that tiny is that Jivatma. This is description of the Jiva in Shvetashvatara Upanishad. So such tiny it is that it is not microscopic, it is not even electron microscopic or whatever microscope can be evolved, yet it will not come under it. It is metaphysical entity. And that's why each life is a marvel. Those who are fond of animal life, they look at it as a marvel. So the marvel is because that substrate, the life force which has got into them. So the life force is in tiniest bacteria to huge dinosaurs or elephant or whale. Whale is now the largest mammal on the planet. The elephant is too tiny in front of a whale. Anyway, the life principle in all that is just that metaphysical entity, just a particle. I am not referring to particle in physics. This is a metaphysical particle. And that's why this is really a marvel. And human beings is moreover a marvel, because human being excels in one aspect, that it is called karma yoni. Exclusively human beings. Nothing other is karma yoni. Even the gods are not karma yoni. Celestial deities are not in karma yoni, they are in bhoga yoni. And subhumans are also in bhoga yoni. Bhoga yoni means they only experience pain, pleasure, delusion. But human being can have a thought structure over it and then decide on do's and don'ts. What is good, what is not good, what is right, what is not right. Human beings have this discrimination because it is karma yoni. All others go by their instinct. The subhumans go by their instincts. So even the celestial deities come to human manifestation to perform certain tapas. They are above us, but they know to take a quantum leap, they come to human form and then do the Brahmopasana and then get liberated, not otherwise. So they know that human beings are below them. Yet for them to take a quantum leap, they come to human form and then do something which only human life is qualified to do. They as celestial beings are not qualified to do, so they come down on human plane and then take a quantum leap. Anyway, so human embodiment is a marvel because it houses those celestial deities, and celestial deities, if according to Aitari Upanishad, they say that this is the best place for them to reside. Because there are so many other creatures, so many other animals, animate creation, but they say human embodiment is the best place for them to reside. Surya Devata is also in the eyes of elephant, eyes of a fish. But celestial forces say that human being is the best residence for them. So understand, if the celestial beings are praising human embodiment, what it must be, we can just imagine. Anyway, so the concept of Shariratrayas, the concept of Panchakoshas, the concept of Shat Chakras, which works in human body for it to be exhaling, which stands out, human being stands out in all other yonis, all other life classes, in the subhuman range to above human range. Human being still excels. Although he is a mediocre hierarchy-wise, human embodiment excels. Now, the human embodiment in exoteric sciences, they study as it functions in world, in worldly life, in worldly activity, whether it is fit or unfit, how far fit and how far unfit. No pathologist will be able to assess any embodiment, whether this embodiment is good to be a saint or not good to be a brute, or good to be a brute and not good to be a saint. The pathologist will not be able to give you a report. Radiologist will not be able to give you this report. However, the man ranges from being utter brute to divinity praised saint. Man can have such a range. So potentials are there in man to be saint of a very highest order. But no assessment will tell you whether that potential is there. Go to any pathologist, go to any radiologist. They will not be able to tell you, they will not be able to identify such potentials as to what this person will be, or what this person can be, or what this person is actually. The whole body scan of Gyaneshwar and whole body scan of Osama bin Laden would not divulge anything which would say that Gyaneshwar is Gyaneshwar because of this and Osama bin Laden is Osama bin Laden because of this. They can't do it. It's not in their purview. However, see the potentials in our bodies. So, in yoga, underline this, in our yoga, body doesn't work for you like the case of mundanity. Mind doesn't work for you like is the case in mundanity. The breath doesn't work for you as is the case in mundanity. We want the body to work for us. We want the mind to work for us. And the breath, of course, we know it works for us. We want all the senses of body and mind ideally to work for us. In yoga, in Adhyatma sadhana, that is not sought after. Let my mind work for me, let my breath work for me, let my body work for me. So when they have to work for you, we try to assess their potentials and we say at par, below par, or at premium, whether good or not good, or Very, very good. But in Adhyatma and in Yoga and in Asana, you learn that you make the body work for mind and breath. You make the breath work for body and mind. You make the mind work for body and breath. So body works for breath and body, breath and mind, breath and mind. Breath works for body and mind. Mind works for body and breath. So they work for each other. These are unique potentials which are surfaced in yogic process. Then their potentials are altogether different. How much the mind can do for me, I can assess it and I can gauge it and I can have an assessment of it. But how much the body does for mind, or mind does for body, or body does for breath, etc., mind does for breath, etc., cannot be assessed unless you are in yoga. In yoga, we know that they have unique potentials. These potentials don't really work, they are not functioning, they don't surface even in our mundanity of life, business of life activity, they don't surface. So in yoga, we realize how much they work for each other. And in yoga, we make them work for each other. These are unique potentials, they have unique traits, and they work out a marvel of spiritual process. That is what we learn in Academy of Asanas. How they can work for each other. You know how your mind works for you, how good and how bad, where good and where bad, where useful and where useless. You know that. How much when it comes for the mind to work for you. So you will know how much the mind is good and when good, where good, how good, and then where bad, how much bad. We have assessment of it, and we can have assessment of it. But we don't have assessment outside the realm of yoga, adhyatma, how much the mind can work for the rest, how much the breath work for the rest, how much the mind can work for the rest. So they work within themselves. We don't selfishly employ them for ourselves like we do in mundane activity. We employ them for our ulterior motives. Selfishness is there in all psychodynamics of our business of life activity. We want all those organs and senses to work for us. We employ them to work for us. We don't understand, we don't open out the field of our embodiment for them to work for each other. When they work for each other, it's a marvelous potentials all of them have. In yoga, in adhyatma, that is actualized, that is developed, that is evolved. So that is how the body is in yoga. Unlike the body in mundanity of life and life's activity. That is why it is called a transcendent state. Yoga is a transcendent state, and there unique potentials of body, mind, breath, senses, organs are identified. Otherwise, our eyes are only visual organs. We do not know anything beyond them as visual organs. But they are all chaitik organs. They all become organs of chitta. Liver, stomach, colon, bladder, spleen, pancreas, intestines, duodenum, heart, lungs, spleen, pancreas, kidneys, they all become organs of chitta. All organs of mind become organs of chitta. The breath becomes organ of chitta. Body becomes organ of chitta. Corporeal body, a body of cells and tissues become organ of chitta. So in that sense, the chitta is the highest entity in the embodiment, because they all subserve the chitta. And their potentials are actualized to be working for chitta. So the human embodiment is really a marvel. Therefore, we have to study the esoterics of human embodiment apart from exoterics. Exoterics we study in our schools and colleges and academies, and we can specialize there by going to medical college. But we need to study the esoteric anatomy physiology. How shoulder blade is your mind organ. How sternum is a mind organ. This is absurd for anatomy, grey anatomy. But in the realm of yoga, in the field of yoga, you will experience that your shoulder is a mind organ. Your shoulder blade is a mind organ. Your sternum is a mind organ. Your floating rib is a mind organ. Any part of the body is a mind organ. Even your feet and hands are mind organs. That status comes up in process of yogasana. So then we understand unique traits of these organs. So all the Gnanendriyas are Chaitik organs. All the Karmendriyas are Chaitik organs. All the Sharirendriyas are Chaitik organs. All the Manasendriyas are Chaitik organs. So cognitive organs, body organs, mind organs, they are all organs of the mind stuff. And they can show their unique potentials, and then they can get encouragement in those potentials, in their interactive culture, and then the marvel is really turned out in Adhyatmic process, in spiritual process. So we need to look at this embodiment in its esoteric aspects. Then there are chakras, there are Panchamahabhutas. How the Panchamahabhutas can come in different combinations. Now this is an interesting kind of observation that you can also carry out. See, your same body, you have one body, you don't have many bodies than one. Now this body goes to recreation center, goes to a multiplex, entertainment center. This body goes to casino, and this body goes to a shrine. But then you will realize there is a big difference chemically in the body in a shrine and body in a casino. The body in a shopping mall. The body in airport. The same body is in the turmoil of airport, railway stations. The same body is in multiplexes, operas, theaters, etc., recreation centers, entertainment centers. The same body is also goes to shrine. But how the body is different? Because the Panchamahabhutas differently constitute in body and mind for every manifestation. Your manifestation from being in casino to be in a shrine, sanctum sanctorum of a shrine. So Panchamahabhutas come in different constitution and formations. That's why you are a one kind of person in a casino, diametrically opposite to that when you are in a shrine. Very sublime, very etherealized. You are not etherealized and sublime in a casino or in a multiplex or in a shopping mall or at a railway station. Buzz of a bustling railway station or airport. See the turbulence that is there in your body mind. The Panchamahabhutas manifest differently to be in that chaotic airports, chaotic railway stations, chaotic crowded places, chaotic shopping malls, chaotic bazaars. But then when the same body goes to shrine, isolated, on the outskirts of a town, quiet, serene settings, Panchamahabhutas differently reconstitute. So this observation can be had by everyone. So these Panchamahabhutas have an open architecture in human beings. This is not the case for animals. For subhumans, whether you keep it in, take it to shrine or take it to casino, it won't change as much as it changes in human beings. The human being is very sensitive, and there is open architecture available in human system, so they will manifest differently. So Panchamahabhutas, for them the locus is in Shat Chakras. So Shat Chakras are there, Prana Nadis are there, the various Nadis which are spoken of in the texts of yoga. So when the association or the breath is in that particular Nadi, it will be typical kind of manifestation. So the Prananadi aspect, Prananadi's networking is an esoteric aspect. Shat Chakras, Pancha Pranas, the Pancha Tattvas. So the esoteric aspect of embodiment, if it is in purview, and if we know that this can be differently set, then we have the advantage in the spiritual pursuit. So same body will be good for spiritual pursuit. This body of 10 or 14 organs, 10 plus the 4 organs and perhaps the body organs, those many body organs, doesn't antagonize spiritualism or spirituality or spiritual practices, precisely adhyatmic practices, paramarthic practices. They are perfectly fit for paramartha. More often, they are almost equally fit. That is why Patanjali has a theorem, Bhoga Apavargarthata. So this embodiment is also for Bhogarthata, when it is going in the gravity of Bhoga and when it is going in the gravity of Apavarga. It is fit for both. It has to be reset. And it can be reset by a yogic process, adhyatmic process. So this engineering has to be learnt. The body is not an obstruction for your spiritual pursuit, as a layman thinks. It has the potentials. It has to be reset. So this same body, same embodiment is perfectly fit for what one calls as God realization, self-realization, the supreme summum bonum of human endeavor, spiritual endeavor. You don't have to shed out something from this body. The same body will take you there. It's only the engineering aspect that the body should be reset properly. So therefore this body is for both Purusharthas as classified by Patanjali, Bhoga Purushartha, Apavarga Purushartha. So see the potentials for this to be going in two opposite directions, diametrically opposite directions, Bhogarthata, Apavargarthata. This embodiment is fit for both. So in Asanic Academy, laboratory, observatory, we have some kind of visions. And that is why this pursuit of asana, pranayama, etc., japa, dhyana, etc., yogic processes is so important that we will be able to identify enormous potentials, unique potentials, marvelous potentials in every cell of our body, those trillions of cells, every one of the trillions of cells. So well, this human embodiment is a marvel. Even the gods envy this body, human body. Gods envy the human capacities. The point is, the body embodiment has astronomical depth. And what is found in the depth is something that you can't even imagine. Like you can't imagine what you will find at the basin of an ocean by looking at the waves coming on the surface. They will never give you the slightest clue about what glories are lying at the basin of an ocean. That's why ocean is called Ratnakara in Sanskrit. One of the words for it. Ratnakara. Because a lot of glories are at the bottom of the ocean, at the basin of the ocean. Countless glory is available. Billion times more than what you have on the surface of the earth. Today, richest man means what? At the most, he might possess entire glory on the surface of the planet that is available. All the diamonds, all the pearls, all the valuable stones, all the gold on the planet. But then what is in the belly of the ocean, what is in the belly of the earth is countless times greater than what is available on the surface. Similarly is the case of human embodiment. Exoteric is something surface anatomy, surface body, surface mind study. But what lies in the ocean of the mind is enormous. Yoga, Adhyatma avails of those glories, and that's why human embodiment is a great embodiment. So much so that it is said that one of the mystic poets, saint of Maharashtra, Deha Devase Mandira. This embodiment is shrine of divinity. And you have heard about this body, the shrine, yoga, the light, thy light. Because the divinity is immanently within us. Therefore, this is a shrine. So when this is a shrine, understand what must be the potentials of this as a shrine. If you look at it as a locus of dirt, what will you cite? Body has enormous dirts of various forms. But then it is also a temple, shrine. And in Adhyatma, that perspective is highlighted, that perspective is sought after, rather than looking at the dirt of the body. How it is dirt emitting machine. The amount of dirt that is emitted from the body is again something that should be considered. Knowing that that is the fact, therefore, Ashuddhikshaya is an important consideration on Adhyatma. Anyway, point is, this human embodiment is really a marvel. And yoga is a laboratory for it, observatory for it. And yoga tells about it as to how glorious it is. Adhyatma tells us about it. So there is much to hear about this embodiment. A lot of Shravana is important, a lot of hearing is important to know what this embodiment really is. Where 330 million deities are residing. Where are they residing? If they are residing, how much does it belong to you? We say it is my body. No. That's not true. We are just passerbys. We just are passing through this. It's like in a chowtry. You stay there a night, perhaps overnight, and you have to walk away next morning. When you will enter the body is not your prerogative to decide. When to leave the body is not your prerogative. We have to leave. Without notice, we will be ejected of the body. Without our notice, we came into the body. And similarly, so we are just, those who are passing through and they come to a chowtry, take a recluse for a day or two, and then they go out. Similarly, we have just come in, entered this body, to be going any time after this moment. We will be out of this embodiment any time after this moment. Nobody knows it. So we are just yatris in this dharmashala. School is, the embodiment is dharmashala and chowtry. Anyway, there is much to hear about this embodiment. Adhyatma will tell you much about it. Look into all those various moksha shastras, dharma shastras, moksha shastras, yoga shastras. They will tell you about this. Anyway, the point is, it is important to consider the human embodiment, its potentials, its marvels. Anyway, with that, we are ending this topic 2 here as to what human embodiment is. Of course, the exploration will be endless. Namaskar, all of you.